Hey everyone, Sefki here. Take a second and imagine this. You're about to give a presentation and your heart's racing, palms sweating, and your mind's a whirlwind of what-ifs. Sound familiar? That, my friends, is the roller coaster of anxiety. How do you know if you're experiencing anxiety? What is your body telling you? Anxiety isn't just a racing heartbeat or sweaty palms, it often whispers to us in subtle ways, influencing the words we say. We might find ourselves saying things like, "I'm such a mess," or "I can't handle this." These aren't just random phrases, they're windows into the storm brewing inside. In this video, we're going to explore 6 common things people say because of anxiety and what they really mean. By understanding the language of anxiety, we can begin to understand ourselves and others a little bit better.
How many times have you caught yourself saying, "I'm freaking out, but I'm probably overreacting"? That right there, my friends, is classic anxiety talking. It's this sneaky voice that tells you your feelings are invalid, that you're blowing things out of proportion. And you know what? Anxiety loves to make us feel like we're being extra. It thrives on making us second-guess ourselves, making us feel like we're being too much. But here's the thing, your feelings are valid even if they feel big, even if they feel overwhelming. Think about it this way, if you had a friend who came to you feeling anxious, would you tell them they were exaggerating? Hopefully not. You'd listen, you'd offer support, and you'd remind them that their feelings are real and important. So why do we treat ourselves differently? Why do we let anxiety convince us that our experiences are invalid? It's time to start treating ourselves with the same compassion and understanding that we would offer a friend. Because here's the truth. When you say, "I exaggerate everything," you're not actually exaggerating. You're expressing a very real feeling of inadequacy, a fear of not being good enough, of not being taken seriously. And those feelings, they deserve to be acknowledged, not dismissed. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I'm probably overreacting," take a moment to pause and really tune into what you're feeling. Give yourself permission to feel without judgment, without minimizing your experience. Your feelings are real and they matter.
Let's be real. Life can feel like a hurricane sometimes. It throws curveballs, it tests our limits, and sometimes it leaves us feeling utterly powerless. And in those moments, when we're feeling battered and bruised by life's storms, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, "I wish I was stronger." But here's the thing about that statement. It's often less about actual strength and more about feeling trapped in a cycle of helplessness. Anxiety has this nasty habit of making us feel like we're constantly on the back foot, like we're just barely keeping our heads above water. It whispers insidious doubts in our ears, making us question our abilities, our resilience, our capacity to cope. We start to see ourselves as fragile, as incapable of weathering the storms. But guess what? You are stronger than you think. You've already overcome challenges, faced fears, and come out the other side. You've survived every single one of your worst days, and that, my friends, is a testament to your strength. It's easy to get caught up in the what-ifs and the "I should-haves," but those thoughts only serve to keep us stuck in a cycle of self-doubt. Instead of wishing for more strength, let's shift our focus to recognizing the strength we already possess. Remember those times you thought you couldn't go on, yet you did? Remember those obstacles you overcame, those fears you faced head-on? Those were victories, my friends, hard-won battles that proved your resilience. So the next time you find yourself wishing for more strength, take a moment to acknowledge the warrior within you. You are stronger than you think, braver than you believe, and capable of handling whatever life throws your way.
Have you ever found yourself replaying a situation over and over in your head, mentally dissecting every word, every action, every minute detail, only to arrive at the soul-crushing conclusion, "It's all my fault"? Yeah, that's anxiety's guilt trip in full swing. Anxiety has this uncanny ability to twist itself into a pretzel of self-blame. It loves to magnify our perceived mistakes, turning molehills into mountains of responsibility. It convinces us that we're the architects of our own misfortune, that we're somehow solely responsible for anything that goes wrong. And you know what? Sometimes things just go wrong. Life isn't always fair, and bad things happen, often through no fault of our own. But anxiety? It thrives on making us feel like we're to blame, like we should have known better, like we could have prevented it if only we were, well, better. This self-blame game is exhausting and frankly unfair. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of guilt and shame, preventing us from moving forward. It's time to challenge these thoughts, to remind ourselves that we are not omnipotent beings capable of controlling every variable in the universe. Next time you catch yourself spiraling down the rabbit hole of self-blame, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this really my fault, or is this just anxiety trying to take me for a ride? Because here's the truth. You are not responsible for everything that happens. You are allowed to make mistakes, to be imperfect, to be human. And most importantly, you are worthy of forgiveness, especially from yourself. So let go of the guilt, release the blame, and step into a space of self-compassion.
I can't stand it.
4 simple words, yet they carry the weight of overwhelming anxiety. This phrase is often uttered in the throes of panic, when the world feels like it's closing in, and the pressure becomes unbearable. But what is it that we feel we can't stand? More often than not, it's not the situation itself, but the overwhelming fear and uncertainty that anxiety injects into it. Anxiety thrives on worst-case scenarios, painting vivid pictures of doom and gloom in the canvas of our minds. It whispers, what if this never ends? What if it gets worse? What if I can't cope? These what-ifs become monstrous projections, casting long shadows over our present and future. We become so fixated on these imagined outcomes that the present moment becomes unbearable. But here's the reality. We are incredibly resilient beings. We have an amazing capacity to adapt, to cope, to find ways to navigate even the most challenging situations. Remember, you've survived every difficult moment in your life so far. Instead of getting swept away by the "I can't stand it" wave, try shifting your focus to the present moment. What can you control right now? What small steps can you take to manage your anxiety? Maybe it's deep breaths, maybe it's reaching out to a friend, maybe it's engaging in a calming activity. Remember, you are not alone in this. Millions of people experience anxiety, and there are resources, strategies, and support systems available to help you navigate these overwhelming feelings.
Nobody cares about me.
These words, often whispered in the silence of loneliness, cut deep into the heart of anxiety. They speak to a fundamental human need for connection, for belonging, for feeling seen and valued. Anxiety has this cruel way of distorting our perception, making us feel isolated and alone, even when surrounded by people who care. It erects walls of self-doubt and insecurity, convincing us that we're unworthy of love and connection. We start to question the intentions of others, interpreting their actions through a lens of suspicion and self-deprecation. A missed phone call becomes evidence of abandonment, a canceled plan a testament to our unimportance. But here's the truth. You are worthy of love and connection. Your feelings are valid, your experiences matter, and you deserve to be surrounded by people who see and appreciate you for who you are. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that we're alone in our struggles, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Anxiety might try to convince us that we're unlovable, but that's just its way of keeping us small, of preventing us from seeking the support and connection we deserve. So reach out, connect with a trusted friend, family member, therapist, or support group. Share your experiences, your fears, your vulnerabilities. You might be surprised by the outpouring of love and empathy that comes your way.
Oh, the dreaded F-word, failure.
It hangs like a dark cloud over our heads, casting a long shadow of self-doubt and inadequacy. And you know what fuels this fire? You guessed it, anxiety. Anxiety loves to whisper in our ears, "You're not good enough, you'll never measure up, you're a disappointment." It magnifies our perceived shortcomings, turning every setback into a referendum on our worth as human beings. We start to define ourselves by our mistakes, our failures, our perceived inadequacies. We lose sight of our accomplishments, our strengths, our unique qualities that make us who we are. But here's the thing, failure is not the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone. It's a necessary part of growth, of learning, of becoming the best versions of ourselves. Every successful person has a story of failure, of setbacks, of moments when they wanted to give up, but they persevered. They learned from their mistakes, they dusted themselves off, and they kept going. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, "I'm a failure," challenge that thought, reframe it, ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can I grow from this setback? Remember, you are not defined by your mistakes. You are a work in progress, constantly evolving, learning, and growing. Embrace the journey, celebrate your progress, and never let the fear of failure hold you back from pursuing your dreams. If any of these phrases resonated with you, know that you are not alone. Anxiety is incredibly common, and it affects people from all walks of life. These statements are just a glimpse into the complex and often overwhelming world of anxiety. It's important to remember that anxiety is a treatable condition. If you're struggling, please reach out to a mental health professional. There are effective therapies and coping mechanisms available to help you manage your anxiety and live a fulfilling life. Remember, you are stronger than you think, more capable than you believe, and deserving of peace and happiness. Don't be afraid to ask for help and never give up on yourself.